I was recently asked to give a keynote on diversity, and I wanted to share some thoughts on this topic, having built an entire career out of hiring for and building high-performing teams. The way the diversity conversation nowadays heavily leans is towards a focus on the race and ethnicity variable. And 100% do I believe in the importance of celebrating this particular diversity variable and all of the diversity factors that represent any minority group. And at the very end of this video, I will share with you on a very personal sense why that deeply resonates with me. That being said, I believe there are three critical factors when it comes to diversity that aren't often discussed, especially when it comes to building a high-performing team. Number one, it is diversity of thought. When it comes to hiring somebody for my organization or any of the teams that I've represented, I always scrutinize, how does this human being think? What are their values, and how is any of this additive to the overall organization? And when you think about how does innovation take place, it is oftentimes because ideas are combined, or at least the reconfiguration of, and that is why it is critical to bring into your team diversity of thought, new perspectives. Number two, diversity of experience. When it comes to hiring, I look to make no gambles and want a high degree of certainty that this human being is going to produce. And because of that, results are the name of the game. One of the most effective ways to judge how a human being is going to perform is by looking at their experience. What are the actions they have performed, and what are the results those actions have produced? And how is any of that relevant to the needs of my organization? Why is this important? Because the truth of the matter is there is no such thing as a neutral hire. Every human being you place into your organization is either going to bring it forward or hold it back. Thirdly, diversity of capabilities. What are the skills an individual possesses, and how is that additive to the organization overall? If you look at the sports analogy, think about football. We've all heard that you can't have all quarterbacks. And why is that? It's because the team consists of different functions, and in those functions, you need different sets of skills to be successful in that particular role. Can this individual teach us something new? Can they level up a particular skill? And again, I'm always thinking, how are these skills additive to the organization and high-performing team overall? And lastly, of course, the race and ethnicity diversity variable. I was born in the Philippines, and my family came here to the United States when I was 1 year old. And because of this, I was very much raised and grew up in an American culture. Now, I have never publicly admitted this before, but the truth of the matter is, growing up all throughout school and even into my working career, I have always had an inferiority complex about not being white. And into my career, I started to realize that even though I knew for a fact that I could compete with anyone in the world at the highest levels, skill for skill, capability for capability, those thoughts of inferiority were still there, be it conscious or subconscious. So what would I do? I was constantly on the lookout for examples, for human beings who were doing amazing things that looked like me and I could connect with. Why? Because it made me believe that that was possible for me. And when I saw someone like that, it inspired me to rise above my own insecurities, my own self-doubt, and really make something of myself. And this is 100% true. I cannot point to any objective situation or circumstance where my ethnicity has ever held me back professionally. Anytime race has ever held me back in my career, it has always been not because of what was happening externally, but what was going on in my own head. And the reason why I want to make this clear and why I believe so much in celebrating diversity is because I can empathize with people who are part of any kind of minority group that may struggle with those feelings of inferiority. But to build an entire diversity initiative without considering diversity of thought, diversity of experience, and diversity of capability is flat out incomplete. And the last thing anyone would want is someone who is elevated and sort of fits the image of a diversity candidate, but is not qualified for the job. I promise you that kind of thing will set the diversity movement and all the good that it's looking to create backwards. And lastly, I want to talk to anyone who is part of a minority group who has ever struggled with thoughts of insecurity about who they were. You are already beautiful and perfect the way that you are. And you are worth infinitely more to society than just being boiled down to these diversity factors. You are a human being, beautifully made in the image of God. And when it comes to building a diversity initiative, you've got to look at the whole person. And quite frankly, I never knew I was so passionate about this topic until I was asked to speak about it. So please, let's start a conversation. Leave a comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are about diversity. And let's see if we can't work together to move the conversation in a positive direction the right way.